Hey guys, welcome to the next installment of Awesome Retro Games from A to Z. So today's letter we're focusing on is F. And this one was a lot easier for me. I found a lot more titles than some of the other letters previously. And I really had to think about which ones I wanted to talk about. Because there's a bunch of games that start with F that I am familiar with. And there's some that I'm not, but I know they exist. Or I am very well familiar with it, but I've never played it. So I'm going to start with, I guess I should start with the Atari. And I've actually played this one, or talked about this one, on one of my Watch Me Suck at This Game things. And it's Frostbite. This is a cool game. I really enjoy it. It's hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people. It's one of those games you really have to think about. You have to learn the patterns. But, I mean, it's interesting. It's colorful. A lot goes on. It's Activision. I mean, they make the greatest games for the Atari. You know, there's nothing that you can really say bad about this game. It's an awesome game. And if you have an Atari 2600, you probably should have this game. On the other hand, I also picked out Fishing Derby, which is another Activision title. And this one, I originally played this on my PC when I had Activision Classics, which I think I still have it. I have it for the PC, but I also ended up getting it for like PlayStation and a few other systems. And that's where I first actually played Fishing Derby, and I was quite surprised that a game like this even existed on the Atari. It's very clever. I mean, for what it is, I mean, you're just two guys, well, there's just two guys fishing, but I mean, it's got this competitive feel to it. It looks great. You can see what you're catching. There's a shark going back and forth that can eat your fish. I mean, it's a good old fashion, you know, one-on-one style game. And yeah, I really enjoyed playing it, and it's actually a lot of fun. So the other system I was going to kind of talk about, because I just picked this one up, and that's Frenzy for the ColecoVision. Now, I don't have a lot of experience with this game, but I know it's supposed to be the sequel to Berserk. So I kind of like Berserk. I'm on the fence about it. It's one of those games where it's like, you know, a lot of Atari players like it. And so, naturally, when I saw this in the store, I picked it up. I'm like, Frenzy for the ColecoVision. I also noticed that it's on the ColecoVision Flashback, which I just noticed after I bought this. But anyways, you know, I want to try this out because it is supposed to be a really good version of the game. So, and I believe, I don't know if it's the computer version or the arcade or something supposed to have talking in it. But this one, I don't think it does. So I'm going to move on to the next system down the line here, and that would be the Nintendo. So the first one I thought about, Flintstones. I mean, I bought this game a very long time ago. I've always been a Flintstones fan. This is not the expensive one. This is the Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. There's another one that's expensive. It's like, I don't know. I saw it in the store. One of the stores around my house wanted like, was it $700 or something like that? Some ridiculous amount of money. I think because it came out at a very late time, just as Nintendo games were going under or stopping production or something, so it came out really late, and there's not a lot out there. But, I mean, this one I remember buying it because I've always been a huge Flintstone fan. I've watched Flintstones when I was a kid. I've seen every episode. I could watch them over and over again. And, you know, when I saw that there was a Nintendo game on the Flintstones, I had to have it. The thing I remember about this game is I'm pretty certain that after I bought it, I went home and I completed it within the same day, and I was kind of upset about that. Because, you know, I expected of Nintendo games, especially like these type, it would take me a while to complete it. And so I was kind of bummed about that. Not many games have I ever done that. I think I did the same thing with Tailspin. But I don't think I own that, but I remember renting it from the rental store and completing it in one shot. And I was like, okay. So I was kind of bummed about it, but still, it's a fun game. There's a lot going on. I love the characters. I've even tried the expensive one on an emulator. I mean, it's very similar. I think there was like a little bit of differences in the way the characters work, but otherwise, pretty good game. The other one that I would like to talk about for Nintendo, which is kind of Nintendo, is Final Fantasy. Now, this one obviously is a popular franchise. They got a ton of the games. I don't. I actually think I only. Well, I can't say I don't own any because I do own one. It's for the Super Nintendo, but it's like Final Fantasy Quest or something like it's something different. It's not part of the series, so I don't remember what it was called. I got it packed away in a box somewhere. But the Final Fantasy series has always seemed interesting to me. Always something I thought I should try, and yet I still have never actually sat down and tried to play a game. I don't know if it's just the investment of time required to sit there and I find that's my problem with RPGs is that you really need to invest the time into them. Not like Zelda, like the first Zelda or anything like that, where you can almost complete it in 1 or 2 sittings. Like these are the games that require the grind and building up experience and all that other stuff and a lot of reading and a lot of exploring, which I always found fascinating, but I just never really spent the time on most of them to sit there and do that. I even remember considering buying, I think it was Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. I was so considering it, always looking at it in the store, and I thought, well, I probably would never play it, or I would probably start playing it, and I don't know if I'd be able to continue on. So I was always kind of weary about it, but it's something I've been kind of revisiting now that maybe I should try. Maybe I should start on the NES version first. Start at the very beginning. I know some people will say Final Fantasy III is better or whatever, but maybe I should just start right at the beginning, the first NES Final Fantasy. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that's going to be my plan. Moving on, I'm going to go into Frogger because I have to. It's an F title. I've done a video on a bunch of the different Froggers and stuff like that. And Frogger's Frogger. I mean, Frogger. I love Frogger. I always loved Frogger. It's a great, simple game. You pretty much any system it's ported on, it's always the same amount of fun. I'm never bored with the game. It's a great game, great sound. There's too much to say about Frogger. Frogger just wins in so many categories. And it's a classic. I mean, it's ranks right up there with Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and Q*bert. I mean, it's Frogger. Everybody loves Frogger. And it doesn't take much to play it. I mean, it's very simple. You cross the road. You cross the water. Moving on up, or down, or whatever you want to say, I just want to move on to Commodore 64 because I have a few titles here that I had to really think about it. And they came to me. I was like, I remember playing 2 games. One was called Fort Apocalypse. And I remember it because it's a helicopter game. And I didn't play too many helicopter games. I played like Choplifter. And then I also played Fort Apocalypse. Those were the 2 helicopter style games that I always liked to play. And the thing I liked about Fort Apocalypse is you're going in like almost like underground into this kind of lair. And you're blowing away walls and you're exploring. You're not just like Choplifter is fun. You're literally just going and picking up people and bringing them back to safety. Whereas in Fort Apocalypse, you're actually underneath this kind of cavern place, and you're actually going through tunnels and blowing up stuff. And like there's a lot going on in the game. It's actually a real fun game, and it's another game that I've been really considering to revisit, possibly do a video on or do some kind of gameplay on it or something. Because it is a fun game, and it was one that I always remember playing on the Commodore 64. I'm pretty sure it's on other systems. It's not like it's proprietary to the C64. It's just that was my experience. I still have my copy, and it's always a game that I always consider going back and revisiting. And the I don't know, this the last game is Frantic Freddy. Now, this game is just fun. That's all it is. It's a typical running up and down ladders, sort of like Burger Time in a sense. It's kind of like a lot of different games, actually. You're literally just running around platforms, up and down ladders. It's got the craziest villains, like these really weird. Each level has really different villains that are really weird. Like some are like crabs. Some look like these really weird looking. I always call them old men because they kind of look like they have a big white beard, but they don't. And there's, what else was there? There's a whole bunch of different villains throughout this game as you complete it. You're just going around grabbing items and stuff, and then the thing that's tricky about it is the way the ladders work. You kind of have to go on one side to go down, and then you have to kind of go up, and then you have to go down again. So it's not like the ladders in, say, Donkey Kong where you can just go up or down. You have to go up a certain side down. It's a really strange game, and it's one that I definitely have to showcase at some point and talk about it. Now I know that this game was ported also on other systems. It's again, it's not proprietary, but you know, probably most of the games I was familiar with on the Commodore 64 probably also existed on other systems. I just didn't know about it at the time. But I played Frantic Freddy a lot, and even the music was catchy. I really liked the music. And it's just one of those platform games I just always loved to play. Anyways, yeah, that was just my list of F games, and I mean, I'm sure I could have found some more if I kept digging. Like I said, Frenzy on the ColecoVision, yet I've yet to play it, but I know it's a good game, and it's going to be something I'm definitely going to have to showcase at some point. Anyways, hope you like the list of F games that I've chosen. I wish I knew more about Final Fantasy. It's one of my regrets is to not fully get into the series. You know, in fact, the only RPG that I really spent a lot of time on was like Dragon Warrior for the NES. And I you know, some people probably don't even consider that an RPG nowadays. I don't know. But that was my experience with it. And I never owned Final Fantasy on my Nintendo. I could play it on an emulator, but I don't have the actual cartridge. And in fact, now that I think about it, I did see a few reviews about Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy. But again, I don't have it. And I think I remember always seeing it in the store and debating if I should have picked it up. Now I kind of regret that I didn't, because I've looked it up, and just to buy the cartridge is pretty expensive. So I don't know. I tried to put it on an emulator, and it just wasn't working for me. Anyways, hope you liked the list. Let me know what games you like that start with F, if I missed anything. What your opinion is on some of the games that I talked about, and you know, if you have any thoughts or anything like that. And we'll have a chat online. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.